Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining me for our video today. We're going to be talking about type 7, and this is exciting because I am a 7, social 7, so the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to talk about type 7, the instincts of the 7, or the subtypes, the 3 subtypes of type 7. And I hope you'll stick around. It's going to be a great video, a lot of great information. It's challenging stuff for me to hear and say. And I hope it'll be challenging and encouraging to you if you are a 7 or if you're in relationship to a 7 to better understand what's going on in their mind and heart, what their motivation is, so that you can be more compassionate with yourself, be more compassionate with the people that you love. Before we get started, my name is Dr. Tom LaHue. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for subscribing. Check out my description below. There's a link there to my website where I have all kinds of information for you, and a store, and courses that I've designed, 2 online courses, and of course coaching appointments. And like I said before, I do coaching appointments with people all over the world, really. Sometimes just one. People just need help, one time, or sometimes it can be ongoing. So it just depends on what the person needs or what they feel they need. Because a lot of times, therapy and counseling doesn't take into consideration the Enneagram. And, somebody asked me, well, what's the Enneagram have to do with anything anyway? Well, you guys that have been into the Enneagram know that it has a lot to do with everything. Why we feel compelled and impulse to do what we do, why we get aggravated and upset with ourselves and with others, who we're attracted to. A lot of these things in life are directly related to the Enneagram, and so sometimes people just want to connect, and just try to resolve a simple problem in their life that seems complex or overwhelming at the time. Sometimes they want to meet for a while to get some extended help. But I'm available to you guys. You can check out the website, tomlahue.com, and get more information if you'd like to make an appointment. All right, so let's talk about the 7. And we're going to start with the self-preservation 7, or what we might say the adolescent 7. You could think in terms of all the Enneagram types as having sort of a adolescent, a childlike, and an adult-like. And I think the self-preservation is kind of the adolescent 7. The social 7, which I am, is more the adult-like 7, and the sexual 7 is kind of the childlike, the dreamer. Okay, so why do I say adolescent? Well, this 7 is wired in to be a pleasure seeker, and can come across because of that as being a selfish person. They may not be selfish at all, but they're going to come across as being sometimes self-referencing, which all 7s are self-referencing, but they'll come across as maybe a selfish person because what they want, they feel they need. And so they're more inclined to go after what they want, and to feel like they have the obligation to be true to themselves to get what they need in life. And they're going to make their needs known, and they're going to go after what they want or what they need. And of course, the passion or the sin of all 7s is gluttony. So all 7s are responding to gluttony and dealing with gluttony to some degree. And so the self-preservation 7, it's a little more obvious that gluttony is the problem. Think of gluttony as whatever is going to make me feel full or happy exists outside of me. Okay, so that's a good way to understand gluttony. Whatever I need to be full and content and happy and rich and joyful in life exists outside of me, so I need to go get that and absorb it. I need to go get that experience. I need to go get that collection. I need to go get that opportunity or that idea, that thing, that material thing. I need that experience, that adventure, and I need to go get it. And when I have it and I'm unwrapping it and I'm opening it, that's when I experience that joy and that happiness and that contentment. So gluttons are hungry, looking for something more. Okay, so the fear of a 7 is the fear of being stuck and having limited freedom, and the fear of lack, and the fear of missing out, the fear of not being able to be satisfied and being stuck in pain or heartache or boredom or anything tedious. So the self-preservation 7, You could also think of sevens in terms of gullibility, okay? So this is the least gullible of the sevens. In other words, this seven is savvy. This seven knows how to get what they want. They have their ear to the ground. They have their nose to the wind, looking for a great deal, looking for an opportunity that will be good and beneficial for themselves, okay? So they're wheelers and dealers to some degree. They're looking for opportunities to advance their cause, to advance themselves in terms of getting their needs met. Not like maybe getting promotions and all that, like maybe a 3 might think, but in terms of this is going to be something good for me. This is going to be a great deal for me. And so they have an eye for that attraction, for that. So they're not gullible. On the other end of the spectrum would be the childlike seven, the sexual seven, which is more gullible, okay, more idealistic, more living in sort of like a fantasy of the way the world ought to be, and the way it should be, and like a dreamer, and so they can easily be sort of gullible. Well, this is the opposite of that. This. And somewhere in the middle would be the social. Okay, so this seven is shrewd. The self-preservation seven is shrewd. They are called they are called the keeper of the castle, okay, or the belonging one, or the belonging to the family one. And I think the idea is, this seven is going to build around themselves connections. And those connections are there to support and to meet my needs. Those connections, those important people around this seven, are there as a network of personal allies who will support me to help me get what I want in life, to help meet my needs. They will drive me when I can't drive myself to the store. They will fund my experiences when I need those experiences to be funded. They will bail me out when I get into trouble or get in over my head or get caught or they will be there to push me in my wheelchair when I can't walk myself. But I've got to go, and I've got to get out, and I've got to do this thing. And so that makes me dependent on others to help fund this operation or all of these, activities and things that I want to do in life. And so they need this little personal mafia around them that is going to fund or bail them out or let them stay rent-free, so that they have this network of people that they can call on when they want to bail what they're doing now and go do something else. What was it? The superpower of the seven is, what is the word again? The superpower of the seven is, it's going to kill me when I'm watching this video and I'm thinking to myself, I know the word. It is being able to locate somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to think of it in a second. It's when you're in one place, but you can then morph to somewhere else. Okay, when you can, like on Star Trek, you can just go teleportation. There we go. Teleportation is the superpower of the seven. What that means is the seven's going to get bored with what we're doing right now. They're going to get bored with whatever event we're at. It's never enough. It never feels completely fulfilling. And so when they go to the movie or when they go to the recital or when they go to the play or when they go out to dinner, they're kind of looking at their watch like, is this all there is? What else are we doing? Can't we do something else? And then I don't want to cause any conflict, because sevens don't like conflict, because conflict is painful and it's just nothing we want to mess with. I'm going to teleport quietly away from this event and go off to find something else. And it's this hunger of never being satisfied, looking for something better, looking for something more, looking for something greater. That can be so exhausting for the seven, and particularly so exhausting for the people that live with the seven. And this seven in particular is going to act, I think, a little more on that impulse than the other two. A little more like, I'm going to go do what I'm going to go do. If you want to come with me, that's fine, but don't try and stop me. I'm going to go do what I want to go do. And it's an attempt to try to experience as much of life as possible, sample as much of life as possible without getting stuck, without getting, tied down, without being tied down to the tedious and the boring things of life. So the seven has a very active mind and can be very productive when they're focused. When they're focused, like a 5, when they're focused on what they want to do and accomplish in life, they can be very productive if they are in the zone at that time to care about that particular activity If they're not present with it, then you're going to see them move to 1 and be very frustrated and just go through the motions. Like a 1, just check it off the list and do what they've got to do. But when they're focused and they're in the zone and they've got joy and they're present, you'll see them very productive and very excited. Enthusiast. They're called enthusiasts. 7s are called enthusiasts, which means not only am I excited, but I'm going to get you excited about this as well. I'm going to share that excitement enthusiastically with you about whatever it is I'm interested in or whatever it is I want to do. It's the most important thing and we need to do it now. It's the most important thing and the right time to do it is now. Let's get up, let's get in the car, let's go now. Why can't we go now? It's that, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And a 7 is in a sense always asking, are we there yet? They're not enjoying the process. They're not enjoying the destination. They're enjoying the looking forward to the destination. But when they get there, all they can think is this all there is? Then let's get in the car and let's keep going. Let's go somewhere else. Adventure, looking for, seeking, and it's gluttony. It's reaching out for something else externally, hoping that it will bring fulfillment in life. And the self-preservation 7 is going to look the most gluttonous of the gluttons because their gluttony is a search for pleasure, for satisfying opportunities, for experiences, and cultivating a network of allies who will support them in their quest. So that's why it's like the keeper of the castle or the keeper of the family or belonging is because, which by the way, the 7 believes they have a special privileged position in that family as well. And their needs, their wants are needs. 7s often define their wants as needs. Okay, and they'll feel powerless that I have to go do this. I have to go out to dinner. I have to go with my friends. I have to go. It's a need. They'll experience that want, what you might call a want and a desire, as whatever the collection is that they're into right now, as I need that next record. I need that next coin to go in my coin collection. I can't have peace until I acquire. That's gluttony. I have to acquire this thing external to me in order to be satisfied. Gluttony. Okay? So this one is the most practical and materialistic. Practical in like, let's get it done. Let's go out, get in the car, drive to the place, make it happen, do the transaction, and get what I need. Quote unquote need. They're the most practical, where the sexual is the most impractical, the most dreamlike, okay, most like fantasy in their head. They're accomplishing all these things in their head. This one is actually doing, okay, stuck in sort of a doing mode, like let's go do it, let's go make it happen. And sometimes can leave sort of a trail and a wake of broken commitments and promises behind them. Because yes, they promised to be at your soccer game. Because they're not going to have conflict. And when you said last week, hey, Uncle Bill, hey, Uncle Jerry, will you be at my soccer game? They said, sure, kid, of course I will be. But then, what happens is they forget and something else comes along. And even if they do show up, mentally, they've probably teleported already, or they may just be looking for an opportunity. Well, I've got this thing. I'll be here at the game, but I got this thing that I've got to go to and go with this other thing. And so they'll double book and triple schedule so that they've got a way out that it's not me. It's not because I'm being selfish. It's because I've got this thing I've got to go to. And so 7s, especially this 7, are notorious for stacking things into their calendar so that they can just, if they have a calendar, because 7s may not want a calendar because calendars can feel restrictive. Calendars can feel like they tie you down. To-do lists can tie you down. And a 7 doesn't want to be tied down. They want to be able to get up and run and rip at any notion that pops into their mind that they become enthusiastic about. It can be exhausting being a 7. Okay? And I'm sure it can be exhausting living with a 7 as well. Okay. So let's see. Opportunistic, optimistic, look at the bright side. Hey, this is going to be great. Okay? So we say, let's get in the car. No, let's hitchhike across America. Who's most likely, which type is most likely, do you think, to say, hey, let's get a trailer and open a taco restaurant in the trailer and drive across the country? Selling tacos out of the trailer. Which type do you think is going to be most likely to drive around the country, think about this decision all of, 2 days, and then get in a trailer and drive around the country selling tacos? Which type do you think it will be? Probably a 7. And they're going to say, very optimistically, oh, it's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be awesome. We're going to go see America. How much money do you have? I don't know. What do we got, Charlie? Oh, $250. Well, where are you going to get the supplies from? Oh, it's all going to work out. Optimistic. And chances are it probably will work out, because sevens are opportunistic as well. And they find ways of getting their needs met, and they're assertive types. So they're not afraid to just walk in and ask you to help me with what I'm excited about. This is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Would you help? Would you be a part of this? Can we count on you? Would you rely on us? And they're not afraid to maybe just come in, lean on you, and ask, because they're assertive types. Okay? And so they're opportunistic and self-referencing and can appear self-centered, calculating and clever, making good deals that benefit themselves. They have a network of reliable, trustworthy people they can depend on. They feel protected and safe when they have that network of people that'll be there for them to help them, bail them out. That's a good idea, bail them out when they get in over their heads. They can be unaware as to how much they are driven by their self-interest. If you were to say to this seven that, man, you're selfish, they might be taken aback by that. What do you mean I'm being selfish? I'm not being selfish. They might not see that, what their behavior is, as it being selfish. They might just think of it as, I have a passion for this, or it's a great opportunity, or, I've always wanted to do this. It's been my dream since lunch. I've always wanted to do this. Or they might not characterize themselves as selfish, although to others they will probably appear like they're being selfish. They might come across as though they're self-centered. Now, all of this can make this seven, the self-preservation seven, a very isolated person. Now, what's interesting is they surround themselves with that network, the little mafia, their little family mafia, right? That's there to bail them out and pay their rent and take care of them when they don't want to be responsible. I know it stings, okay? I'm a seven, okay? So I get it. I'm sorry. The Enneagram is not pleasant. It's painful, okay? Seeing yourself in the mirror is not always a pleasant experience. Now, to the degree that you don't act like this, then our hats are off to you, self-preservation sevens. If this is your impulse and you can resist some of these negative parts of your impulse and impulses and function in a positive aspect, then we appreciate that for what you do and also what you don't allow yourself to do. We appreciate that, okay? But I think that this seven could end up, even though they have that little mafia around them, kind of an isolated, alone person. And there's a part of them that, although they're probably very extroverted, that sort of feels like an introvert, that they can end up kind of like cut off. They can leave behind them a trail of kind of broken promises and pain. And again, they're not going to want to recognize that, because sevens don't like pain and they're running away from pain, and they would hate to think that they're causing pain in people's lives. But when you don't follow through on your promises and when you don't follow through on your responsibilities, their sevens are probably going to want to reframe that and minimize it and say, well, actually, and give all kinds of reasons to. Here's a key for sevens is we rationalize our behavior. And say, well, that's not what I meant. Oh, that's not what I intended. I'm sorry you took it that way. But I was never in any way trying to, because here's the thing, it was never about you. The sevens acting as self-referencing means they don't necessarily think about how their behaviors are affecting the people around them. They're self-referencing. They're thinking, what's in this for me? How can this make me feel better? How can this alleviate my pain of doing without, of being without? And so they're moving forward, impulsing and compulsing toward behavior without reference to how is this going to affect others, especially the self-preservation seven. Is they're just thinking about, this seemed like a good idea at the time. This seemed like it was going to make everybody happy. What I need is what everybody needs. My needs are the needs of the group. Okay? So this seven can end up a little bit isolated because people get exhausted. People get tired. People get run down. People don't have the energy to keep up with all that nonsense. They don't have the energy to keep up with all that running, going, searching, quest, adventure. It's accelerator to the floor all the time. It can be. And that can be exhausting, especially for some of the other types on the Enneagram, the 9s, the 5s. They don't want to keep up with all that. And other people in your group, in your real family that are real people, might feel like they're getting left behind. I have a 2 wife, right, who wants connection. And if I were to impulse and move on all my 7 ideas, she's going to feel like she's going to be left behind, like she doesn't matter. So sometimes people in your family, the 4s, the 2s, the 6s, they might feel like you're leaving them behind. You're so focused on what you want to go achieve or what you want to go do or the next big fun idea or the next big deal or opportunity that you're not thinking about what is this costing, who's paying for it, and what the rest of us have to clean up. And so the people in your life are probably telling you, slow down. Just slow down for a minute. Do you really need all this? The self-preservation 7, yes, they feel that they need all of this. They feel that they need it or they're going to go crazy. They feel like they probably feel like they have ADD or ADHD. They might be a little bit bipolar and feeling like I'm manic, I'm so excited, and then it didn't work out, so I'm so depressed and I'm stuck and it's a rainy day and the boss said no, and they can just lose all their joy. And when 7s are healthy, they're bringing joy into the world, and when they're unhealthy, they're just pulling joy out of the world. They can just go through the motions and be so task oriented and just done and just experience life with no enthusiasm, with no joy, with no happiness, because things didn't work out according to what we thought we needed. Think of it like this. If I told you you need 10 widgets in order to be happy and you only have 5, then you're going to spend all of your time, how do I get those next 5 widgets? Okay? And that's a 7. They're spending all their time not enjoying the 5 they have, but lamenting the 5 they don't have. And then you come across another person in your family who only needs 2 widgets and they've got 4, and they feel like, wow, I've got more widgets than I need. How come my brother is stressing? He has 5. I have 4 and I have more than enough. He has 5 and he's never satisfied. And people in your life are going to look at you like, when is enough enough? And honestly, if you want to have compassion on your 7 friend, on your self-preservation 7 friend, just realize that although they have 5, they live under the assumption that they need 10. And so when a 7 can get alone, when a self-preservation 7 can get alone in silence and in solitude and in stillness, which feels like death to a 7, okay? Silence, solitude, and stillness, when they can sit alone in that for a little bit and realize, I have 5. Maybe I don't really need 10. Maybe sometimes less is more. But for this 7, they feel like more is more. And they live by the idea that more is better. And if I can have 1, I want 2. And if I can sample all of them, I want to sample all of them. But sampling isn't always the best way to live life. Sometimes you need to actually purchase and buy and live with and keep and hold on to and say no to others. In other words, there are some things in life that it's not appropriate to sample. So if this self-preservation 7 can learn to appreciate the 5 they have and look around and say, so this 7 needs to go to 5. All 7s need to go to 5, Enneagram type 5. This 7 needs to go to 5 to visit the 5 spot to realize, maybe less is more. Maybe I don't need everything that I see. Maybe I don't need to fill all of my clock with fun experiences. Maybe I just need to appreciate what I already have and take care of who I already have in my life and what I already possess in my life. And maybe I need to appreciate what I already have, and maybe what I have is enough or more than enough already. And look at that. If I need 10 to be happy and I only have 5, I'll never be happy until I get the other 5. But if I can dial down my need like a 5 does and say, I only need 3 to be happy and I have 5, I have more than I need. So is the rich person the person that has the most, or is the person that needs the least? That's wisdom right there. That's wisdom. So this is a very talkative person who loves possibilities, who's outgoing, a pleasure seeker, very sensuous, very earthy. Earthy is a good word for this person. Very worldly. The least religious of the sevens is going to be this 7. Loves indulgence, the freedom to experience all of their experiences, the fear of limitations. Scarcity equals panic. We're a fear type. 7s are fear types. You don't think they're fear types? Then just tell them you're sitting inside all day and watch them panic, because that's not a comforting thought, to feel stuck, to feel like your options are taken off the table, like you have to make do with what you have. Scarcity equals panic. These 7s are very anti-authoritarian. Now, they might not realize that about themselves. They might think, I don't go looking for a fight with authority. 7s tend to try to befriend authority as a means of evading authority. 7s are evaders. They evade authority. They evade responsibility. They evade duty and tasks. They evade with humor. They evade blame with humor. They evade relationships, because intimacy can feel like getting trapped to a 7. And so they like to keep things lighthearted and surface level. They're evading something, okay? So what's good for me is good for everyone. I want, therefore I need. That's the way this 7 feels. And to a sense, all 7s, okay? They're charismatic, personal. They appeal to others with humor. They're smooth, and they smooth out the relational rough spots with humor. They reframe and gaslight, experiences. They're sly, cunning, not gullible. They over-focus on the importance of pleasure in life, and over-focus on the destructiveness of pain. Like, pain itself is to be avoided simply because it's painful. But pain can be a good thing, okay? Pain can be something that we don't seek out, but it can be something that teaches us. And so pleasure soothes their fears. Yes, I might be dying, but I have Oreo cookies, so I feel okay. Yes, I might be having a heart attack, but I've got Tylenol, so I don't feel any pain. Okay, that's kind of the idea. Well, not Tylenol so much, but I want to do whatever I can do to take away the symptoms of pain, but maybe not necessarily the reason for the pain that the 7 might ignore in life. The reasons for pain, they just want to deal with the symptoms of pain and cloud that with pleasure seeking. Okay, so love of pleasure, self-interest, focus on what I need to feel secure, materialistic, and even rebellious. In other words, the sleeping dog gets kicked. So don't be asleep. You're going to miss opportunities. You better be looking for the next big deal, the next big opportunity. Who are some people that demonstrate this kind of personality in our popular culture? Well, I think of a lot of people. And of course, I grew up in the 80s, so a lot of the rock musicians, the David Lee Roths from Van Halen, the Vince Neils from Motley Crue, singing Girls, 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 and Dr. Feelgood. When I think about Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, I think about those people, that sort of 80s rock culture, the Poison, I'm looking for nothing but a good time. That is this 7's mantra, okay? I'm looking for nothing but a good time. And Miley Cyrus is probably this kind of 7. And listen to the words to her song. We can't stop and we won't stop. Okay, and it's we who own the night. We, who? Her tribe, her little family, her supporters, the people, and she has a special privileged place among that tribe. And she's honest. She's singing it as though she's bragging, but really listen to it from the terms of like an addiction. We can't stop. And we won't stop. And whatever we want to do, whatever makes us feel good. Well, that's the way addicts think, okay? And 7s can be prone to addiction because they think that some substance out there is going to fill the cracks, fill the void, fill the emptiness in their life. And of course, me being who I am, I think there's only one real way to solve that emptiness in your life thing. Okay, and it's not through cake, and it's not through drugs, and it's not through sexual immorality, and it's not through, all the thousands of wells that are out there that you can drink from. But when you're empty, or you think you're empty, then guess what? You can't stop. You've got to keep searching for, or at least numbing the pain of that emptiness with whatever opportunistic, things are in front of you. It could be material things, it could be experiences, it could be adventures, it could be shopping, money, spending money, whatever. Okay? So probably, Howard Stern, is probably this 7. Hugh Hefner. Okay? This is the culture of Playboy, the Playgirl. This is that culture. Maybe Meredith on The Office. Maybe Eddie Murphy. I don't know. He could possibly be that 7. All right, so let's move on to the social 7. This is the grown-up 7. Okay, this is what I am. This is the grown-up 7. I know a lot of people on my videos say, are you a 5? Well, that's a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment. This is the most adult-like of the 7s. This is the counter type for the 7s. This is the 7 that responds to gluttony by saying, ooh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a glutton. They feel the impulse toward gluttony, the need for, oh, I need that. I need more. They see the shiny, sparkly things and they're drawn to them, but then they desire rather to be thought of as a good person than a gluttonous person. Because in gluttony, there is a hint, at least a hint, maybe more than a hint, of exploitation in that. If I'm eating 10 pieces of cake, well, that means somebody probably didn't get one. So the social 7 says, I would rather be thought of as a good person than to have my quote unquote wants met. And so the want to be thought of as a good person supersedes the whatever temporary want or desire that might pop up for the moment. Now, this is not the same thing as the one who truly wants to be a good person. So I'm not saying, oh, well, aren't the social 7s just somebody to be clapped for? This is more the desire to look good or to be good for the applause. So there's not necessarily anything inherently more, good about this 7 than the other 7. It's just that their need is met in a different way. This social 7 kind of has the insatiable, which means gluttonous, insatiable desire to be admired for their goodness. Now, isn't that a humbling thought? That does not make me feel good to realize that about myself, is that I want to be thought of as a good guy so badly that, and so here's the key word for this social 7. Sacrifice. Because immediately this 7 feels their desires, feels all the same gluttonous impulses that the self-preservation 7 feels, but then shoves that down. Just like, the counter 6 shoves down their fears and puffs themselves up to be powerful. The self-preservation 4 shoves down their pain, and then let's talk about your pain instead. So this 7 kind of shoves down that need or want or impulse to either delay it or disarm it, because they want to remain connected to the people that are in their life. And they know that their impulse to teleport away and do what they want to do for this moment is going to separate and break up those connections and would be thought of as selfish. And so I didn't do this thing. I didn't take that last piece of cake. Aren't you proud of me? Aren't you happy for me? Don't you admire me because of what I didn't do? And that's kind of a humbling thing to realize about yourself if you're a social 7. So being selfish is bad. They sense the gluttony as an impulse, but then decide to define themselves as anti-gluttonous. They want to focus their attention on supporting others, on giving to others, on easing the pain of others. And so this 7 can be kind of like, a caregiver, or might enter the fields of employment where they're offering help and care to others. And that is a way, in a sense, of dealing with their own pain. Pain is not something 7s want to deal with. And so the first 7 just says, well, I'm going to throw myself into sensuality, or throw myself into pleasure seeking as a way of distracting myself away from pain and boredom. This 7 says, if I'm a help to other people and I bring humor and joy and alleviate their pain, then I don't have to focus on my own pain. I don't have to focus on my own problems and challenges because my mission in life is to help other people take the focus off of their pain and challenges. Where like the self-preservation 4 wants to focus on your pain and help you through your pain as a way of, at least we can talk about pain, even if I can't talk about mine. The social 7 wants to focus on alleviating pain because it distracts me away from having to deal with painful things in my own life. Okay? It's a little nuanced difference from the 4. So this 7 exists to serve the group and to stay connected to the important people in their life. So this 7 can look like a 2. The last 7, what did I say? Did I say what they can look like? The last 7 is the 7 that can look like a hedonist. Okay, hedonism, which is going to put you at odds with most religions in the world. I didn't say what that 7 could look like. I don't know if I had that in my notes. But this 7 can look like a 2 and can look like a 1. A 2 because, I'm here to serve others. I'm here to take care of others. And I'm going to laugh and joke up. And even their laughing and joking is in a sense to like bring relief to others and to help, smooth the gears of life and make things a little more palatable about life. And so they're there to serve and there for the group, and let's all take the kids to the museum and we're just do this fun thing for the kids. And they can look like a 1 because they want to do the right thing and be good and be thought of as good rather than just throwing themselves headlong into all their hedonistic desires. So they want to support the group and give to others. They're motivated to give more than to take, and they expect that relationship is going to be reciprocal. Since I gave and since I sacrificed, won't you guys now sacrifice and admire me and let me know how important I am to you? Because look at all the things I gave up when I decided to, be present with you today. Okay, so they will take care of me. They want to help by bringing healing and easing pain in this world. They can be very visionary, enthusiastic, inspire, and motivate others. They can also use their inspirational tools to manipulate others. They can talk people into things, talk people into, going off into ventures that maybe are not in the other person's best interest. All right, they want to be recognized for their sacrifice and for the contribution that they've made. They need admiration. They need applause. And they strive to hide their gluttonous impulses behind altruistic behaviors. So, they may take a job like a minister. They may take a job like a nurse or a doctor. They may take a job, humanitarian, because they want to think of themselves as helpful, good people, which they can be. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying their orientation is toward gluttony. All right, but I want to move away from that impulse, and I want to take care of other people instead. And everybody, I hope you know me as somebody who's a humanitarian and a person that cares for others. Don't know me as a glutton. Okay, so they want to be anti-gluttonous. This action of serving others, in a sense, kind of purifies this 7's guilt for feeling all those impulses. Like they feel guilty for feeling those impulses that are 7 impulses, and so they strive to kind of like go in the opposite way, which is counter 7, and not act on those, do the right thing, do the good thing, act like a 1, act like a 2, and then won't you appreciate how I behaved like an adult? I didn't behave like an adolescent, I behaved like an adult, and now everything's going to be okay, right? So they sacrifice, but in a sense, it's still in their own self-interest to do so. It's not necessarily because they are really taking care of others, but it's kind of like salving our own conscience that we're being sacrificial. At the end of the day, we hope it's reciprocated with admiration. So if I'm giving something to you with the expectation that you're going to give me something back in return, is it really fair to call that giving? There's a challenge there for you. So this 7 needs to go to 5, maybe to learn that sometimes connections are not necessary. Sometimes connections can be counterproductive, and that maybe it's okay sometimes to just say, you know what, it's okay for my kids to do what they want to do today and for me to do what I want to do today. And it's not selfish for me to just maybe sit for 2 hours and watch TV. Because it might start to feel selfish to me, like I'm being gluttonous if I were to eat the last piece of cake or if I were to watch TV I don't necessarily have to, like a 2, go behind everybody and connect and make sure everything's okay. Maybe it's okay to learn from a 5 that some connections you can just kind of let go of for a while and they'll be all right. So enthusiastic, this 7, feels the need to share what's going on in their life and what they know and what they are passionate about. Like if they discovered the Enneagram, they might want to make YouTube videos and share with the world, this helpful information. They can be very idealistic. Wouldn't it be a better world if everybody understood the Enneagram and understood who they were? And social skills. I'm not afraid of a camera. Put me on YouTube. Put me around the world. Social skills, okay? Those 3 things really typify this 7. Enthusiasm, idealism, and social skills. They can be visionaries, joyful, avoid conflict, and fear commitment. Now, who are some people that illustrate, this kind of 7-ness in our world? First person I think of is probably Phil on Modern Family. Phil on Modern Family is a good example. I think Clark Griswold on Christmas Vacation would fit this description. And when Robin Williams played Patch Adams in that movie Patch Adams, or even the character he played in Dead Poets Society, I think could be good examples of this kind of 7. Maybe Joy on Inside Out would be, and honestly, this 7 and the next 7, I think it's very hard sometimes with characters to know which is which. So yeah, the Jim Carreys, the Jim Fallons, Jimmy Fallon's, I can see him here and I can also see him in the next one. So let's just move to the next one and we'll talk about those characters when we get to the next one. The sexual 7. The sexual 7, I think, is the most childlike, okay? Meaning that they can kind of get sort of caught up in their fantasy and not necessarily want to deal with the world the way it is. So that's where this 7 could go to the 5 and say, how are things really? What's the real data? What is the state of this family? What is the state of this company? What is the state of this organization? And this 7 may not really want to face the truth of the data that's in front of them because they stay focused in sort of an idealistic utopian idea of the way things ought to be, where everybody gets along and there is no problems and everything's funny and there's no crisis and everybody's got candy and there's nothing to be upset about, and they can get kind of lost in rose-colored glasses. Rose-colored glasses, that's this 7. They see the world as though it is the way it is in their mind. They want to live in Candyland, and they think that everybody out there, has that same kind of Peter Pan, Neverland, Candyland kind of, and they're shocked and surprised when they realize, that the people around them maybe have been taking advantage of them. They don't want to face the problems or the challenges, that might be right in front of them. They don't want to believe those terrible things. They want, for everybody to be upbeat and happy and joyful and fun. And that's why I say, look at the Jimmy Fallons. Okay, look at Jim Carrey in The Truman Show, where he lives in this alternate universe, this alternate reality where everything's okay and everything's. Look at the Ace Venturas. It's just kind of this fake Disney Channel life, right? Where everybody's upbeat and everybody, the biggest problems are that you weren't a good enough friend to me. Jack Skellington off of The Nightmare Before Christmas, who is depressed. He's depressed when he looks at the world the way it is. He's depressed. But then when he discovers Christmas, everybody's going to love this. This is something to get excited about. This is something to be enthusiastic about. 7s can look depressed. You may think, oh my goodness, my 7 are supposed to be such happy, upbeat people. But when you look at them, you might see depressed. And if they don't feel like they have something to rev their mind on, they've got 5 and they need 10. And they look at the world the way it is. And we got to go to work. And we have to have jobs. And we have to pay bills and insurance and dentists and cancer and disease. We can become like Jack Skellington, at the beginning of the movie. Depressed, down, defeated. And then we discover Christmas. And we love it when something's exciting. And we can make things exciting. I think of Miguel in Coco, right? He wants to be a guitar player. And that's all he can think about. He's got 5 and he needs 10. And he's overcome with this desire to do whatever it takes. Think of Ariel, the little mermaid. She's got everything you could ever want in this cave. She's got gadgets and gizmos aplenty, who's its and what's it galore. Thingamabobs, we got them all. We got 5, we got 6, we got 7. Oh, but there's one thing I need. Oh, there's just one more thing. What a glutton. They're doing a play, and all the other mermaids are there. And who's the star of the show? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ariel, but she's not there. Why? She teleported. She teleported away to a better there. For 7s, there is always better than here. How can you be present to life if you're not here? Here's the thing, 7s. You want happiness. 7s just want to be happy. Here's the reality, the shocking reality. Happiness only exists in the present. Happiness is always right here. But if you're not here, you can't feel happiness. You can't experience happiness. If you're stuck in the future or you're stuck in the past, then you're not present to what's going on right in front of you. And so you can't have happiness unless you can be fully present in what you're doing. Little Mermaid at the beginning of the movie, is she happy? No, she's not happy. She's distressed because of what she doesn't have. Miguel in Coco, is he happy? No, he's distressed because all these 1s in the family and all these 9s that go along with the 1s, are forcing him to squelch his dreams. His dreams. That's why 7s are called dreamers. And which one of the 7s is the most likely to be a dreamer? When you see a dreamy, childlike wonder 7, that's probably the sexual 7. Okay? When you see the 7 buckling down and doing the right thing and being a good person and I've got to take care of people, and it's probably a social 7. When you see a 7 that's got the pedal to the floor and ain't looking for nothing but a good time, and they're got the pedal to the floor, let's just say that, it's probably a self-preservation 7. Okay? So if the self-preservation is earthy and the social 7 is, let's say, grounded, okay, this 7 is sort of heavenly. And I don't mean heavenly like religious, although that's very possible, but heavenly in the sense of like their head is stuck in the clouds. They're kind of like dreamlike. I'll give you another good example, a great example of this 7. Michael Scott. You ever watch The Office? Michael Scott is this 7. He is a 7 for sure, and I would say he's this 7 because he doesn't want to pay attention to the way things really are in the office. In his mind, he has an overly idealistic interpretation of his relationship with all those people in the office. They all love him. They think he's the best boss ever. We all go out after work and get cocktails together. And he has this idealistic impression in his mind as to the way the world ought to be and even the way it is. It's rose-colored glasses. And the whole show is about things not living up to his expectations and how frustrating that is. And then how he has to reframe everything that happens to him in order to not lose this overly idealistic vision of the environment that he works in and of the relationships that he has. People in that office are enduring his leadership because he's not present. He's not focused on what the actual mission of that company is. He's stuck in his fantasy or in his dream-like state as to the way things ought to be, where everybody's chummy, everybody's friendly, and he's the special privileged person in that circle. And he's stuck to that interpretation of the way things are so that he can't be present to the way things actually are. And, the whole show is about the chaos that creates and how everybody loves him at the end of the day because he's he tries. He's trying to just be positive and upbeat. He's trying to keep humor in the workplace. But at the same time, he can be quite annoying to work with as well. And again, 7s may be unaware of the pain that they cause in this world. Also, I think Kramer is a 7. I'm not sure which 7 he is, but Seinfeld, I think Kramer's a 7 as well. Probably the self-preservation 7. All right, so this 7 has extreme optimism. It's, that love is blind. Okay, you heard that saying, love is blind. Well, this 7 kind of has those same glasses that a person has when they're in love, where they just don't see the flaws. They just don't see them. This 7 kind of like walks through the world like not necessarily wanting to focus on. They might see them, but they're not going to want to focus on those flaws and how to solve them. It's more like how to minimize them, how to move away from those, and how to maximize or turn around difficult things and to make them more positive. So this 7 can have a very hard time taking in negative information and probably going to reframe most of life, most of the negative things of life. And by reframing, what we mean is, well, that actually probably worked out for the good, when really it didn't work out for the good. It was a terrible thing, and we ought to just sit with the pain of it being terrible. But that's not comfortable to sit with the pain of being terrible, so we try to come to the point where, well, actually now when I look at it and think about it from this perspective, if I check my brain out and I think of it like a robot, then actually it wasn't that bad. And so 7s can sometimes, in their quest to move away from pain, the fear of pain, always ask this too, not what are people running toward, but what are they running away from? When you're running toward pleasure, okay, everybody can see that. You're upping the environment, you're upping the energy, you have a constant need to be humorous, to be liked, to be admired, to be on the receiving end of pleasure. Okay, that's what you're running toward. What are you running away from? Most of life, because a lot of life is not pleasurable. It's not fun, but it's important. It's responsibility. Listen to this 7 sounding like a 1. I said this 7, the social 7, can sound a little bit like a 1 or a 2. Oh, I know, the self-preservation 7 can seem a little bit like an 8, because they're going to go do what they want to do, all right? And they can seem a little bit like a 6 because there's an anxiety within them that we're missing out. We need to go. We need to get some more. There's that anxiety of like, hey, they have a sale right now and I'm missing it. There's a sale. I only got 5 and they've got the other 5 on sale and I'm missing out. And so that anxiety of I got to go get in the car and let's go get those other 5 or I'm never going to be okay. It's that 6. And then that 8-ness of that 7 of, and I don't care what you say, I'm going. I don't care how much it costs, I'm spending the money. So that first 7 can look like a 6 and can look like an 8. My 7, the social 7, can look like a 1 and 2, pish posh, don't you envy me, okay? And then this 7, can kind of look like, I think a 9, especially the 9-wing 1, sort of kind of caught in a dream-like state. And life is happening to these 7s to some degree. And I think this 7 could look a little bit like a 4 because they have like an overly romantic view of the way things ought to be, an over idealistic view, romantic idea of what love is going to be and how popular they're going to be and how liked they're going to be. And they can kind of look at the world sort of like from that overly romanticized idea, similar to maybe a 4. So they imagine that things that are lively and fun and energetic, and then they act accordingly to escape the unpleasantness of this life. They can live in the happy world that they create in their heads, and they want to know that everything is going to get okay, and I'm not going to get stuck in all these negative feelings. If I'm okay, and you're okay, and we're okay, then everything's okay, right? They can be visionaries. They can have a tendency to live in their imagined reality and not deal with the problems that are right in front of them. And this 7 needs to go to 5 to observe the way things actually are and the real data and not just, their imagined data or the way they'd like for things to be. So they can plan and improvise a lot. They want to sample all of life's good things, which I think all 7s have in common. They can be passive aggressive. They don't want to miss out on anything. No 7s really enjoy conflict, although I think the first one, the self-preservation, will probably bring more conflict and deal with conflict because they have that 8, energy a little more. They'll probably be a little bit more like, and 6s can deal with conflict too. So probably the sexual and the social are going to be the most abhorrent to conflict. The self-preservation is probably going to be a little bit more nimble on their feet when it comes to conflict and a little more okay with conflict. So I said, what, Michael Scott, Olaf? Won't it be great in summer? Summer's going to be great. Won't it be great in summer? Won't it be great? Summer's going to be great. That's a pretty idealistic view for a snowman, to think summer's going to be great. Ariel, Jack Skellington, Jimmy Fallon, Jim Carrey, Miguel. And like I said, maybe Jim Carrey, Jimmy Fallon, maybe I've got them wrong. Maybe they, and the list goes on. I mean, there's so many comedians, Dick Van Dyke, and, so many comedians that we could put in the 7 category, that it's hard sometimes to know the difference, I think, between the social and the sexual. It seems a little slight nuanced. I would say if you see a 7 that looks like they're grown up, raising a family, working every day, kind of looks like a 1, that's probably the social 7. If you got the 7 that's like on TV and making everybody laugh and the comedian, it could very well be the sexual 7, and if you've got the 7 that is, the rocker, the living life to the fullest sort of, the adolescent. You might have a self-preservation 7, a little bit more or less care to the wind, throw care to the wind, and get what I need, get what I want. Now, again, every time I do these videos, to the degree that you don't demonstrate these quote-unquote negative characteristics, then you should be proud of yourself. I've been hard on all of the 7s, right? I'm hard on everybody because the Enneagram is hard on us all. I mean, it's in our wounds that we're healed. It's by seeing our cracks, that we have opportunity to grow. So if you feel like, this video might be a little bit hard on you or wasn't 100%, it's never going to be 100%. But if it's a little bit hard on you, then to the degree that you don't exhibit those behaviors, then we're all proud of you. Great job. You're resisting the impulses and the compulsions within you that would separate you and isolate you from others and break your connections with others. So we're very proud of you for resisting those impulses and for acting on those impulses to love others and to be present with others and to be present with every day and care for people and to do all those noble, virtuous things. Then we're very proud of you for exhibiting those behaviors instead of the lesser behaviors. Okay, man, I'm exhausted. So, be present to life. For 7s, what does that mean? Ultimately, what it means is the better there is not always better than here. Here is better when here is nurtured. If you could be fully present to here and enjoy the 5 you have and not focus on the 5 you don't have, the 5 you have could bring you a lot of joy. And if you're continually focused on there, you're never able to be here. And happiness is only found here. Be present to life, guys. See you next time.